So we have on stage five icons of change, and they're going to be sharing their stories and how they've basically been able to build their businesses. And I hope that this would inspire the junior achievers in the room, as well as um, be like guiding beacons that you can actually follow. So we've had several discussions. It's going to be as practical as possible. They're going to be sharing some of their experiences. So I'd like to start from the very, very far end, and I'm going to invite Lebo
So,
to
so my name is Lebohang,
Leboha.
but you can call me Lebo, it's fine. I thought you were gonna start that side, but it's fine. So like I said, so it's funny how when we're sitting here and I was on the other side, it was very comfortable. Now I'm here, my heart is pumping, so it's quite a tricky thing. So I need to breathe. So, so my name is Lebohang Dikhojane, spelled with an L-I. So I'm from South Africa, a place called Bloemfontein, but I stay in Johannesburg. So I was studying at the University of the Free State till I got deregistered because of political reasons and because of my activism and some stuff. So I had to make a decision, what do I want with my life? Because I've just been deregistered, I'm out of school, I'm an unemployed, not finished graduate as yet. So, and I had to decide, and I sat down with myself. So we had friends in my community that were also unemployed. And I decided that, there are markets in town where people are selling fruit and veg and stuff like that. So I decided to say that, look, I have knowledge of how to basically manage a business, and we can start selling these things. And I managed to get to university again through my own ways politically. If you're hustling, you'll always find ways to get things done. And I went back to university. After university, I don't know how long is my time because it's pretty a story.
Very short.
Okay, cool. But let me touch on the important points. So I started the business, I started the marketplace where we were selling fruit and veg. It was at the University of the Free State. No, I was still studying at the University of the Free State. Woke up at 4 a.m. every day with the guys. I had to pack and do all those things and go to class at 8 o'clock, come back at 4, run the business again, like do the same basics that we taught at school. But I had to decide now, how do we scale up from Bloemfontein to other places? And then I looked at platforms like Facebook, and then we started selling on Facebook and started using the Facebook page. And then from there, we started making more money. But Bloemfontein is a small place and people were not really into technology. And then I started advertising in Joburg, and then it started showing me that there's interest in Joburg through analytics. And then that's how I moved to Johannesburg, because it was informed. And I went to Johannesburg. It was difficult. I was alone. But let me give other comrades a chance to speak so that I may not go.
Thank you very much. Yes, you can clap. Thank you. Yes. All right. I will go to Adele. So just tell us your name, where you're from, and your business.
So my name is Adele Onyango. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I love that you called us comrades. You're truly an activist. So for me, I've been on traditional radio. So I've been on radio for 9.5 years, and I recently just transitioned into online radio and podcasting. But I also have an initiative, and all the radio shows that I did worked primarily with the youth, and the audiences were young people. So what I would do is set up WhatsApp groups with my listeners, and for me it was to be able to really understand what they were talking about, what music are they listening to, so that I can satisfy that need on my show. And in interacting with them, I met one boy who just stated casually that his family didn't have money to take him to university, and I thought that that's not right. And this guy used to contribute to all the topics on the show very actively, and I felt like we were just taking from him, and we were not really giving back anything. And so what I did was register a team of young people, and by registering I wanted to understand the data. Where are they in Kenya? Are they in university? If not, why? What do they want to do? What do they think is lacking in the education system? And that allowed me to be able to create programs that directly help them, right? And so that's under my initiative, which is the Adele Onyango Initiative. And it deals with creating opportunities for young people to get knowledge around entrepreneurship, to prepare for employment, and even get scholarships. The other thing it does is give survivors of rape, such as myself, access to free therapy. And for me, when that happened about 10 years ago, I was very angry that nobody in Nairobi, nobody, as far as I could know, in Africa was really talking about it. So I created a Facebook page called No Means No, and we were just venting. But in the venting, I tried to do the legal stuff and lobby for like the laws to change, and I realized, okay, that's not really my passion. And I realized that psychosocial support was very necessary. So through that platform, I was able to get volunteer therapists to give survivors of rape free therapy as well. So it's not exactly a profit-making business, but I think the model really works well and can be implemented in other businesses. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Okay, so we'll go now to Morolake. Please tell us your business and where you're from.
Hello, everyone. My name is Morolake Famodile. I am a fashion designer, and I design for kids, girls, 0 to 15 years. When I started fashion designing, it wasn't a common thing. It wasn't something that people were proud of doing. Like, I finished school, I did my degree, and I did my master's. So I just came home one day and I told my dad that I resigned my job. And he was like, are you crazy?
Are you all right?
Like, what's wrong with you? Now, I was a consultant with a geographic information system private firm in Abuja, in my country. And the day I left my job, my boss was like, there are no many women in this particular field. So what are you going to be doing? I said, I'm going to learn fashion designing. And it was like,
Something wrong with you?
something is wrong with you. He just concluded that something was wrong with me. And okay. And so I left. I was earning like, let's say 200K in a month. And I left. And I didn't look back. That same year, I had to come to Ghana with my husband. And anytime I hear Ghana, I'm always very excited. My fashion design journey started in Takwa. How many people knows Takwa here? Ooh, that's like 5 hours from here, right? And I will go, it gave me 50,000 naira. That's about like 500 Ghana cedis. I don't know the conversion again. So I will travel overnight from Takwa to Accra and just do my business and return back. So when we had to leave Ghana and we went back to Nigeria, I said, how am I going to take this business forward? Like, what exactly am I going to do? I met a coach on Facebook, a fashion business coach on Facebook. And that was what changed my business for me. And since then, I rebranded my business and I focused on children. I started a clothing line for children. And since then, when we launched our first collection, I think we sold like almost 180 pieces of dresses. And since then, the followers grew like mad.
Wow. A round of applause.
I don't know, it was like magic. Like what I do is I mentor people who are fashion designers. They have the skills, right? But they don't know how to make money. So we use Facebook, we use WhatsApp. I teach them, and then they just take it up from there, and they're seeing results. So let me give it to somebody.
A round of applause for her, please. Okay, I think that was really amazing. I'm sure there'll be questions for you, from the audience. Let's go quickly to Dr. Chamal. Yeah, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello to everyone. I'm really inspired by my fellow panelists. Like, I've been getting to know you, and now this is another level. Thank you for sharing. So my name is Dr. Chamo Khan. I'm from Senegal. So yeah, like I said, I'm a doctor as well as an entrepreneur that focuses mainly on community health and wellness. So my day job is being a school doctor in a school, a 1,300 student and 200 staff school in Dakar. Head of community health and wellness, so making sure that the students as well as the staff, all of their wellness needs are met throughout the day and just as a community. So looking at physical activity, nutrition, stress management, and mental health. Especially in adolescence, it can be pretty challenging at that time. And at the same time, I created the Dakar Farmers Market about, I don't know how many years ago, 2015. At first, it was really just wanting to bring together different local actors in the food, agriculture who were doing organic produce as well as natural cosmetics and eco-friendly solutions, having a community event where people came together and shared around this common theme of wanting to support the local economy as well as find quality products, because what you eat and what you put on your body is a direct correlation with our health. So that's how it started, and we started with about 25 vendors, and it slowly grew. The next market, it was 35. By the end of the first season, we're about 60, 70 vendors, and now on average, I have about between 120 and 150 vendors and over 3,000 visitors at each market. So it's become a huge operation, and it's definitely taken up more of my energy and time than I thought. But I guess I would just say to the young people that, make your own path. Like, you don't have to be a classic any one thing. Follow your passion, follow what you think is needed and that you feel like you can contribute, and make a way.
Round of applause. I mean, growing from 25 vendors to 150 vendors, that must have taken a lot of work, I guess. But we'll come back to that. So let's talk to Kahi.
So yes, I'm Kai Lumumba. Just wanted to start with some question for you guys. You know that Drake, the artist, like his biggest #1 record was when he put Afrobeat on it. Do you know that Beyonce has a whole team searching for African fashion designer just to find new, fresh dress? Do you know, like, did you think like 10 years ago that a Nigerian artist could fill up like concerts in Brussels, Belgium? What I'm trying to say is that African creativity is changing the world, and I'm fascinated by that. I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm dedicated to promote this creativity, specifically into digital creativity. I prefer this term of creators instead of influencers, because what I do with my company is that we allow those young creators to monetize their talent or their expertise by working with brands who need genuine stories. We need like authentic brand content. So I like to say that we're building the gap between creativity and those brands, which is coming from an idea that where I had to find the business model, because my first, when I started the company, it was just a media, so we were telling stories about all those innovators. But then when it was time to find a business model, I jumped into this agency creativity world, and now we have 2 offices. So I'm from Congo, but I live in Côte d'Ivoire, and we have an office in Abidjan and another office in Paris, and we're running projects around 7 francophone countries, plus a non-francophone country, because we're doing projects in Accra sometimes, and this is it.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I kind of want to drill down on some of the things I've heard, so I have a couple of questions. So I have a question for Leboha. Your journey selling veggies, I mean, I wanted to make you share a little bit more about your process. How are you able to sell from Bloemfontein to Johannesburg? How are you able to handle the logistics of delivery and things like that? What are the practical information that you can share with us?
Yeah, so like I said, we started as just selling veggies, and we later developed the business model and refined it according to what clients want. And then we started selling combos, grocery combos, and delivering to students. And then that's when we realized that there are certain behavioral patterns that students don't really care about. Like, students don't really care about buying groceries. They just want to party and have fun. And then we had to change, and going from students to individuals, households. And then that's when we started selling to them. There was also problems when we entered that market. And then we realized that they don't necessarily also, they just buy because there's a trend in South Africa where they say that buy black, hashtag buy black, black excellence and all that. So you get to realize that they're only buying because of the hashtag, but not necessarily because of the product. And then we had to refine that because it was not sustainable for our business model and our cash flow, and it affected us. And then I pivoted again. So it's a whole process and a whole pattern of changing things. And by the way, I don't own any groceries, but I do sell these things. But so what happened was, and then I'm selling to companies now, corporates, where we are selling on a monthly basis because the volumes are quite high. So we have like 15 clients now where we deliver every month. So what happens is that a client will send us a list of what they want. We send them a code, they accept. We send it to our supplier, the supplier delivers. So it's a very simple and basic model that works for us. So we don't necessarily have to deal with a lot of stuff. The only thing, if you think about the Amazon model, that's basically what we are trying to do.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So, and I think the platforms, Facebook was very instrumental in being able to help you find some of these key customers and even delivery partners as well.
Yes, very much, because with Facebook is that I started and I didn't, sometimes when you start as an entrepreneur, and I always tell a lot of people that as much as you don't have funding to pay for certain stuff, you need to start with what you have, and Facebook gave us that opportunity. I didn't have a website to start an online grocery store, and then I opened a Facebook page, and that's when I started selling on Facebook, and people were paying directly to our bank account. And then from there, we used the money that we're generating from the sales to move into a bigger thing and then develop a website on its own. So it's constantly reinvesting in the business and constantly understanding what works and what doesn't work.
Thank you for that. So I think the lesson there is, as your business is growing, you need to put more money back into the business.
100%.
Delay gratification. I think that's a lesson that entrepreneurs need to learn quite early. So I'm going to come to you, Morolake. How did you decide who? Because I mean, fashion is quite big. What was the reason why you decided to choose the girls 0 to 15? You have a daughter?
Yes, I have a daughter.
So that was the reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a daughter, and she's 7 years. And since she was born, I have never bought a dress for her. I have always sewn.
That
it by
deserves a round of
myself.
applause.
Do you know the funniest thing? There was a day I was sharing with Kendra. My husband was coming back from Abuja, and it was my daughter's birthday the next day. And he said, okay, let me just get into a mall and get her a dress. And I said, okay, go ahead. And he got into the mall and they said a dress was 25,000 naira. I don't know the conversion here. That's a lot of money. And he called back immediately like a distress call. Like, hello, the dress is 25,000. I said, yes, it's 25,000 naira. Please, can you just get one and come back home? We say, I just want to say thank you for all that you have been doing all this while. So the thing for me is, my grandmom is an old seamstress. She will be 90 years this year, and she had 9 children, 5 boys, 4 girls. All of them could sew, all of them.
Even the boys?
Even the boys. Wow. So I can say that, okay, maybe when I was born, as I opened my eyes, I saw a sewing machine. So for me, I went to school, I learned how to sew and all that. But I think it's in the blood. But for some people, you have to learn it, and it's possible. Just learn. If that's your interest, you learn, and you scale with it, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I'd like to come to Dr. Chamo, and my question is, what was scaling an operation from 25 vendors to 150 vendors? It's going to take a lot from you. What are the practical steps? Looking back in retrospect, what were the practical steps that you think helped you, reach that scale?
So I think that what happened with the Dakar Farmers Market was really everything coming together at the right time. I don't think it's necessarily what I did, but there were a number of actors that were coming about in Dakar that were either doing organic produce, different independent farms, as well as entrepreneurs that were making natural cosmetics because of the natural hair movement. And I basically tried to bring those people together by using Facebook, kind of like a phone book, and going through Facebook and looking at different keywords, putting in keywords, and trying to find a very eclectic blend of vendors that would make the farmers market. Because I didn't want it to just be a market where you just come, you buy products, and you go home. I really wanted it to be an experience. So that when people come in, it's a discovery. At every stand, they're discovering a new product, and it's also cultivate a sense of pride in the Made in Senegal brand. That was really the main mission in it, is so that people can feel proud about what we're making, what we're producing with our products. And so then it became word of mouth, and entrepreneurs started sharing it with people and saying, hey, there's this market, and when you sell there, you make a lot of money. Because they were selling out. People were sold out by noon, which was pretty much unheard of in other kind of similar events. And so I became almost, I can say, harassed. Like my phone number, I had to change it and everything because I was getting called 24/7, being that me and my co-founder, but then the second year was just mainly me. I was doing everything. I was the community manager. I was booking the vendors. I was setting up the logistics. So it became a lot. And so some of the tools on Facebook really helped. The instant reply, where you kind of do like a frequently asked question. And whenever someone says, hey, they get all the answers that they need, the date, the time, the place, and how to sign up. So I used a lot of that. Some of the tools on Google. Google was also really helpful. I don't know if I'm supposed to say it here, but but the Google Forms and the Google Docs, really having systems, being very organized, because you can quickly get overwhelmed when you have an avalanche of requests. And so, yeah, being very organized, and so it grew organically. And also what I tell people all the time is that if you had woken me up today and say, organize an event with 150 vendors, I couldn't have done it. I couldn't do it. It's because I started small, and with each market, it added a little bit, 10 more vendors, 15 more vendors, that I was able to grow with it, and now I can manage 150 vendor market in my sleep. But it definitely happened with time, and that's the process. And so we didn't have a marketing budget, like I was telling you earlier. The fees that we collected from the vendors was what paid for all of the equipment and all of the expenses related to the market. And I was very proud to make $50 the first market, 25,000 francs CFA for those who know. And we were super proud because we broke even, and we had a small margin that we could take ourselves out to dinner with. But then slowly, I didn't probably pay myself or make any money for the first 2 years, and then after the third year, we're doing good.
Yeah, I think that deserves a round of applause. Okay, so I come to Adele. What I want to ask, you're working with a very sensitive audience, and what I'd like to know is, how have you been able to manage the sensitivity of that audience, especially as Facebook is more or less a public place, and how have you been able to, navigate that privacy public thing, especially in the kind of world we live in today?
So Facebook, I think, is very public, but it can also, if you challenge yourself to create a very discreet group, you can actually do that and do that well. But I think what helped is that I would take the fall, so I'm very protective of the women and the survivors that I help. And so I will never divulge any information. If you want to attack rape culture, or those conversations where people say, okay, well, what were you doing there at that time? What were you wearing? I went through it for so many years that I take the fall. So I don't allow you to attack the community of survivors, and I'll take that fall for it. But I've also been able to, because I realized as I'm giving that psychosocial support, there's a need, and I think it applies to whatever field you are in, to be able to spot what is wrong in our culture, in our society, that pushes certain agendas, and then create a space where even those who are propagating the rape culture can come and learn and be open-minded and package it such that even those who can't come can still benefit from it. Otherwise, we'll just constantly and always be fighting each other online. So then what I did was create an audiovisual podcast called Perspective, and it deals with gender issues. In Kenya, we had a big problem with femicide this year. Okay, all years, but it was really at the forefront this year. And what I did was have a panel of 2 men, 2 women. It was in a space that young people like, so not to say that this is a bad space, but like, you know, a space that they go to frequently for social gatherings, and have a conversation and then package that and put it up on Facebook. It actually did the best in terms of views on Facebook, right? And through that, you push it to survivors who can't afford psychosocial support, so they know that, oh, by the way, as you're watching this, you can come to so-and-so or DM or inbox so-and-so and get access to a free therapy session. But also the men, which was the big problem that we were having, then began to start seeing that, oh wait, maybe I'm propagating rape culture. Maybe I'm justifying it in my own, you know, you do a fact check and a cultural audit. And I think that's very important, because as much as I am protecting them, the survivors on Facebook, what am I doing to make sure when they're offline that it's not going to happen to the next woman? I mean, it's 1 in 3 women have experienced some form of sexual abuse or harassment. So what are we doing on ground to change that, and still working with an online platform to, when we have these discussions, put it up there and keep the conversation going. So that has been really helpful. You still get the hate, but I always believe it's a crucial point to be able to engage and be like, okay, but why do you think that if I'm dressed in a certain way, it's justified? Then you start breaking it down on that online platform, and you can route them to the podcast to learn more. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. So, as a final question goes to Kahil, right? And what I want to ask is, I mean, you're able to bridge the connection between the talented people and the people who need these talents. So, what would you say contributed to that learning? I mean, transitioning your business from digital marketing to actually creating these bridge connections?
The process of thinking was whatever we are doing, like video games, fashion, social impact, we all have something in common. We need to catch the attention of the people we have in front of us. So because we have to sell an ID, we have to sell a product, but before all of that, we need to catch the attention. So my way of thinking is that, where is the attention today? So 50 years ago, it was on the radio, 20 years ago, it was on TV, then it's on the internet, then it's on social media, and now it's on your mobile. Okay. So what are the people looking at in the internet? So they are on social media, the data are there, and what are they looking for now? They are following young talented people who bringing them authentic values, lifestyle, travel, social, technology, etc., etc. So basically, I try to explain the logical process behind all of that, because when you're talking now to corporate, we need attention. It's more easy with the way I explain that, to let them know that it's logical that you need to get where the attention is. Okay, so I'm not saying that TV is dead, or you don't have to do an ad on TV. All these things are complementaries. But today, if you're trying to tackle the young audience, or even the less young audience, you need to connect with the authentic people. Like social media belongs to content creators, to community creators, and you need to find a way to partner with them. And I'm talking about corporates, but it goes with all of us, all of our businesses, even if we are a small business. So that's how the process came.
The panel deserves a round of applause. Um, so now, I'd like to open it up for questions, especially from the junior achievers. If we have any questions for the panelists, this would be a good time to indicate. Questions? Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Dennis. And please, I have a question. Mostly, I sell sneakers with a friend on social media. Sneakers, shoes, yeah, on social media. And then, especially on Facebook, most of the times when you post the stuff there, because you don't have huge people following you, it becomes difficult to get people purchasing from you. So what do I do? How do I go about it to get like people to buy the stuff that I sell over there? Thank you.
So I'm going to just borrow from my radio background, and just because when the digital boom came, we had to adjust because we were used to, well, we didn't have competition from Facebook or anything, so you'd have to listen to the radio, right? And so when we had to sell ourselves, so we were your sneakers on social media, we would use certain gimmicks, you would say, or campaigns that would catch the attention. So first you need to know who exactly your audience is, or your desired audience is. So for me, I knew it was 15 to 24 and what they were talking about and things like that, so that when you're designing content, it's content that they would love to engage with, right? So if you're talking to like sneakerheads, you have to really know what you're saying, right? But if you're talking to me, and I just need to know that my sneakers are going to look a certain way with my outfit, right? So what type of content can you create? Giveaways also works really well for us, and creating some sort of, I'm going to use squad, like an exclusive squad that people, you need to join this group to be part of the squad. And when they do that, you engage with them, so you understand exactly who they are, so you're constantly getting this data from your desired audience. And this is all stuff that you can do before you start getting a budget to be able to boost your posts. But I think if you do that fast, by the time you're boosting, you already know who you want to see this. So I find it hard, I would find it hard for you to target me, who doesn't know too much about sneakers but still wants to look like I'm with it. And because I've hung out with sneakerheads, and it's almost like football, like they know what it is they're saying, right? So you'd have to decide who your target audience really is, I think.
I think
Was that good? Okay, you want to add something?
yeah, I think just to add, I think you and I in the same industry. You sell sneakers, I sell food, and the idea obviously is to say that everyone needs to wear sneakers and everyone must eat, and that's where the problem is at, you know. So because I remember I thought students were my target market, and you get to realize that when you check their behaviors, they are not. And the insights that you get from the analytics will clearly inform you that these people are not interested. So with Facebook, the nice thing about Facebook is that you need to pay attention to analytics. I mean, like that's the game changer, because once you see that, and then once you see who responds to your ads or whatever you are trying to make, that's when you see, okay, my target audience is basically these guys. And from there, you start to realize a 24-year-old, what do? They want to dress nice. So you look at the trends, you look at what they like, the lifestyle. So if you do not understand your client, no one will ever buy your product. So whenever you design anything, whenever you sell anything, a product, even with your business, you need to think about the end user first. It's not even about you. I always tell people, let's not romanticize business and be romantic and it's about me. You know, I sell this thing, I'm an entrepreneur. It's not necessarily about that. It's about the client, meeting the need. Why should someone wear your sneaker? So there's a trend in South Africa, I know, it's a sneaker trend where the skr, I don't know what's happening here. So you need to understand those trends. You know, if you're a skr, you know, you need to be that guy. You know, if you are selling the skr, you need to stop wearing those glasses, man. You need to wear proper shades, bruh, and be a skr, so that, you know, you are creating a culture. At the end of the day, as entrepreneurs, I believe that you are creating a culture of a certain people that can follow us, and you are leading it, you know, and you need to lead it and So now you are the trendsetter now. If someone has to wear your sneaker, you need to give them that value proposition because there's a lot of people who are selling sneakers. Why should I come to you instead? So those are some of the questions that you need to ask yourself. Why must I come to you instead of? She'll probably have more information because she sells clothes.
So I would love for this to go on, but we are so over time. But what we're going to do next would probably give us some more insights where we can still interact with the junior achievers and basically help them with deeper answers to some of these questions. Great answer, by the way. What he's talking about is very key. The way to sell is to think about what the effects of your products have on your customers. I mean, I'm wearing your sneakers because I want to look a certain way. So you don't post just a picture of your sneakers. You post the lifestyle that your sneakers, give, and that way people start to identify with it, so it's very important. So now what we're going to do, a round of applause for my awesome panelists. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do like a very hands-on workshop, basically for the junior achievers. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and be in two groups because a lot of you guys are some on this side. So try, to be in two groups. And we're going to run through how to set up your business on social and then how to actually think about advertising on social.